So a few months ago, I actually did a live stream about print on demand or something. And this guy, his name was, I don't know how he found me. Actually, he found me through my Angela videos. But this guy slid through the messages. He had only 23 subscribers on YouTube at the time. And I was like, he was like, yeah, I'm trying to start a YouTube channel. We literally have it documented. And I literally was the 23rd subscriber for this guy. Who knew in a few months he would blow up to over 60,000 and be known for his conservative Asian videos and stuff like that. He is a really, really good friend. Today, in today's Entrepreneur Next Door, I interviewed Hing. So if you don't know, Zach was actually on my closing team and we are closing for the same current offer right now. Feels really great to be part of a team, to have such high performers and to really talk to someone who's on the same playing field or who has the same mindset about YouTube is really, really great. I can't, to be honest, I can't really remember what we talked about. So in today's video, we talk about, you know, how we met and all that sort of stuff, but we really get into, you know, how we got into closing, our love for closing and sales and all that sort of stuff too. And not gonna lie, I am pretty tired in this video because for some reason, we decided to shoot at like 12:30 a.m. because he was leaving that next morning. So I'm so glad that and appreciative that I got to shoot some content with him because we've been meaning to do that for a while. Anyways, guys, let's jump into it. I will talk to you guys later. Take care. Peace. Whoop. Oh, by the way, if you like videos like these, check out more of my Entrepreneur Next Door podcasts. You can check the card right here. It should be somewhere up here. And yeah. Make sure to subscribe to Zach. I have all his links below, and I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.
Check, check, check. Check, check, check.
Check, check, check. Can you repeat it one more time?
Check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H.
H, I, J, K. Okay, awesome. That works. Yo, Zach, is so awesome having you in the house over here, man. This is our first like live in-person interview together, right? Last time you were doing a live stream on my channel just by yourself. I wasn't there. I was doing work editing videos.
That's right. That's right. Thank you for having me, Kevin.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that this is live, but this is a nice way of being able to actually sit down, have a dialogue, and have a recorded dialogue in your spot. And it's always a pleasure coming down to LA and like not necessarily working, but getting my mind right and maybe even setting a new like standard that I'll be working off of when I go back. So I just needed a change of pace. So thank you for having me. I had a place to stay, but Kevin let me like stay here the whole time. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, man. I thought you were I thought you were gonna stay here this whole week, and I was like preparing and all that sort of shit. And it's kind of cool that it ended up working out this way, man. It's always like really glad. I'm so glad that you're here, and that it's so isn't it so fucking crazy that we met through YouTube online, and now we're like we talk almost every single day, if not every day, every other day.
Yeah, at least either implicitly through the group chats or directly. I mean, I'd say directly it's more sporadic, but through the group it's pretty much every day. I will say that it's been a crazy journey because it is now May. I started corresponding with you last summer, like July-ish.
Yeah.
Which is when I was, in the very beginnings of my YouTube channel, like 22, 23 subscribers right in there. So I'll never forget that. And Kevin has this on record. It's on a live stream that he did about how to, I think it was about t-shirts.
It was about t-shirts. Print-on-demand t-shirts.
Print-on-demand t-shirts. I remember that very directly because that was the day my life changed. Because that's the thing, is like after that, and then when my YouTube channel caught wind, and then Kevin and me did a video together, and then we did several videos together, and then HTC came along, which kind of solidified my journey into more of the self-employed entrepreneurship realm. It's just crazy, and now we're on an offer together and we're working on stuff together. Yeah, it's been nuts, but it's been a blessing, and I'm grateful to have you in my life. I really am. It's just dude, this is great. You know?
Yeah, dude, I want to ask you about that too. Like, how does it feel? Because you were working a 9 to 5 life, man. And how does it feel knowing that, you know, maybe you're not at FU money quite yet, but knowing that you're definitely on the road and that you're so much. I remember how worried you were when we first talked. Like, will I find a gig? Will I find a gig? And now you have like, you're on a very strong offer right now. We're both on this strong offer right now. How does it feel, man?
I think it feels good. I mean, the only thing that I'm a little uncomfortable with is still just my inexperience and wanting to learn more. But I was just we just talked to one of our buddies, Tom, on a call, and I just said I feel really grateful. Like, I'm very lucky to be in the presence of like the top 1% of online entrepreneurs, marketers, and salespeople.
Yeah.
And that in itself is amazing. You know, being put on a team where I am like probably one of the worst, speaking honestly,
same here, man.
is a good thing, because you can only really go up from there if you decide to execute. And I think the minute I go home from LA, I'm going to just be hitting the grind, opening up my schedule to be able to take on a lot of calls, a lot of prospects, just to become a better closer, a better sales rep. And I think I need to understand. I was telling Kevin this in the car earlier today. I come from a background where I've started to learn throughout this journey that there's a lot of personal mental blocks that I need to be aware of, that it's okay to have them, but you need to acknowledge that that's where it's coming from, and that's how it's affecting your performance. So with me, it's the concept of money. You know, I won't go into a lot of detail because, you know, there's a degree of secrecy that has to happen in our business, but, you know, I conducted a transaction where thousands of dollars were conducted, you know, over a single meeting, over a single phone call. And for someone like me, who came from a world where I was not a 6-figure earner, I'm not one of those Asian guys that had a hip software job or a doctor pharmacy job, consulting job like Tom.
Yeah.
I don't come from the 6-figure realm. I come from the, hey man, you take home like just shy of 50 grand a year, and honestly, that was my 9 to 5, like just shy of 50 grand a year, and your bi-monthly check is like, your actual take-home pay is between like $1,600 to $2,000. Like that's what I had to work with, right? So if you're on an offer and a deal, and you're a closer, a consultant, a salesperson, where you close something that's like, I don't know, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 in one transaction, and you make that much money, like, you know, $500-$600 in 40 minutes, like, I'm not used to that. And I still feel like what's limiting my success is my lack of confidence and being able to see. I mean, I see myself as a closer, but I'm not confident in it yet, you know?
Yeah.
That's been my journey. That's been my big thing, is not like, we're on this offer and it's amazing, and I know it's only going to go up because, like, this is exactly what we wanted. We talked about this months ago. But I need to get over myself and learn that, hey, you are a closer. You are deserving of this kind of success. You got to work towards it. But part of feeling like you deserve it is being able to put yourself in a future state and crystallizing that vision one step at a time, which is what I'm still working on, because I'm not used to it.
Do you feel like right now, like, since you've never made like such a huge investment, because we're talking about higher ticket type of things, do you feel like since you never made that purchase yourself before, there's that hesitation, or that, not lack of empathy, but there's that hesitation of dropping, if you're in that position, there's that hesitation of dropping that same amount? Do you feel that way? Or
I think to some degree I do. It never was really an objection, because I have spent that much money before, but I think that the conviction needs to really come from being able to amplify how I felt when I made a decision to invest in myself, be able to articulate that to whoever it is I'm talking to, and based on what their response is, bridge the gap. That's all I'm trying to do here, is bridge the gap. Because when people say I have to think it over and I have to shoot from the hip, that's exactly what I told Kevin when he talked to me, when he closed me. I didn't buy like on the first phone call, but I did, and I bought through him. So I can understand that, but you know, the creating urgency, creating the sense that people need to take action because goals are important. And I knew it for me because here's the thing. If I had stayed at my job, maybe I wouldn't have bought an HTC because there's a comfort, right? I don't know what I don't know, and it's just safer to just not do it, right? You save money or whatever. I'm glad I made the decision. It wasn't easy, and my life since then has been anything but stable, but that's okay. I'm so glad that I did because that's how you learn, and I need to be able to communicate to people and say, hey, I know how you feel. Like, you're about to take a leap that's potentially going to change your life for the better. You just may not see it right now. So that whole thing where it's like, give us your 5% and trust that we can take you the rest of the 95%. One of our sales coaches or leaders says that, and it's like, that's infinitely true, not just with what we're doing, but in a lot of your endeavors in life that requires an upfront investment of your time or your resources.
Yeah. So true. Yeah, it's, you know what? I think ever since I especially after I dropped, like I've always bought like $1,000 courses, 2,000, 3,000, not a big deal. But ever since I really bought Dan Peña's like 20K offer, that was the first time in a long time where I was like, my heart dropped for a second. It really sucks giving up that money. I know what it feels like to just not sacrifice, but to not know if you're gonna truly get your return on investment on that type of thing. So I empathize with people, but I've never had a problem just dropping money. So like for me, for my closing calls, I've never had that problem. Where I do have a problem is kind of having that frame in the beginning, man, because I feel like in my head, I always feel like I'm not good enough talking to people on the phone. And sometimes, like, if it was my own offer, no problem, I have all the conviction in the world. But being on this new offer, man, like, I find myself kind of going back to my old traits. And I think honestly, something like sales or closing it's a really interesting way to do personal development because it really brings out your insecurities, definitely on these calls, man. I don't know about you.
Which is why I love it, even though I'm not very good at it, and which is why I think that for my path, for my life, it is absolutely 100% necessary. I'll say it flat out. I would rather be called a killer salesman than an entrepreneur, honestly. I actually have even said this in the past where I don't mind spending time just to become a damn good salesman because it is the one thing that is universal in its nature, not just in business. It's universal because it's all about human needs and wants and psychology and working within negotiation and communication. But the second thing, it's recession proof. Yeah. Your online offers could die. Your businesses could fail. You could be like the best massage parlor type person, right? And get in at a time maybe where you got lucky or whatever. But there's so many moving parts. The only real constant here that I love, and I also have talked about at least this point in my life, I have no interest in really starting a business or hiring people or anything like that. And I'm also not in a position to do that. But if I can be a really, really good closer, if I can be a really good salesman or a consultant, you know, all those terms are interchangeable.
Yeah.
I know that I will be fine. I will really have confidence because it's a skill that regardless of how technology changes, people take things out of their office and they replace it with new tools, new resources. Since the beginning of time, that is the only thing that has really, for me, been like, you need this, you know? A salesman who was selling stuff door to door, you know, or mail order items 50 years ago is just as relevant today with his skills. In fact, he might even be able to slay most people out of the water because think about it. Those were different worlds back then. And they were cold, right? Now there's so much awareness around products. But can you imagine being a cold door-to-door salesman?
Yeah.
Dude.
And I think it's really interesting because you're like, I'd rather be known as a killer salesman over an entrepreneur. And I feel like there's this negative connotation with like traditional sales people, right? pushy, needy, and whatnot. And honestly, after coming out of Dan Locke's high ticket closer program, I still had the same thing, and I think it's something I'm still battling too, right? But after being part of this like killer team, knowing that, dude, the top 1% of closers are on this offer, man, freaking blows my mind. And to see like how they are as people and how they carry it out in other areas of their life. For example, one of our really good friends, he's going through a really rough time with relationships, and dude, one of the salespeople on our team is like coaching him through that and using the skill of closing. Isn't that freaking ridiculous, bro? Yeah.
And the fact that he's taken a personal interest in him, and actually cares about that aspect of his life is important, because I think he realizes that so much of what we do is building relationships. Yeah. So why not repair that one part of your life that's broken? Think about it, right? Yeah. When we get on the phone usually and we're talking about people who want to change their lives through taking a different endeavor, building a business, wanting to achieve some degree of financial confidence or independence, whatever it may be, what's the first thing we always really think about with values, at least from our perspective, is, hey, are you doing this alone? Are you doing this with a partner? Yeah. As a matter of fact, if you did not talk to them, I don't feel ethically inclined to actually tell you what we have to offer, because so much of your success is going to come from your support system, regardless of whether you think you are the decision maker or not.
Yeah.
Because what if you don't see anything after 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks? Your rock, which is your support system, if it's your wife, your husband, your girlfriend, boyfriend, your children, even your parents, right? It's like that actually is more important than people realize. So to take it back to our friend who's going through a bit of a tough spot with relationships, if anything, right, if he's coming out of something and it's salvageable, right, repair it, learn to repair it, or at least learn to be able to assess the whys. And I think that he's actually going to learn from this. He's going to learn an experience of building a relationship, conducting it, and in a way conducting something that's transactional, even though I hate to talk of relationships like that, romantic ones, as being transactional. So
yeah, I mean, Zach, let me ask you, have you noticed, like, I know you've been closing for a little bit, since what, few months now?
Since February, for reals.
Since February. So you've been closing since February. Right now is May. Have you noticed like it carrying over to any other parts of your life at all?
I think that now I'm a lot more direct with people.
Yeah.
I can actually ask better questions.
Yeah.
I don't think I've become any better with building relationships with people, like making friends, because I think it's a different set of tools, right? Yeah. I don't ever want the friendships that I have with people to be solely transactional all the time. Yeah. So I'm not like using it to take advantage of friends or whatever. But to answer your question, it carries on in that, like, I am less tolerant of people who are wasteful of my time. I'm more assertive, and I do make I'm more decisive now. I mean, I'm not so kind of wishy-washy or flip-flopping when it comes to my talks. And I'm a YouTuber, as you guys probably know. In my line of my niche, which is political commentary and social commentary, I say things now often with more conviction, and I use less disclaimers. Like, I still always do my best to be diplomatic, present both sides of it, but now I will say things and go, well, this is just what I think. I think men should lead and women should follow. Like, and I'll say that and not go, well, only these examples or only that, like, or be apologetic about it. And it's okay if people disagree. It's okay to be wrong too. Yeah. That's one thing I'm learning. So I think closing has given me conviction. It's given me clarity of thought, and it's given me arguably my most important thing that I'm working on right now, which is command. It doesn't mean to boss people around, but command is an incredibly important skill. It's needed for leadership. It's needed for getting things done. And it's also needed for your own internal confidence, because what is command? Also what you tell yourself.
Love it.
Yeah. I think that if anything, right, being able to, like, for example, I'll get depressed, but my depression only lasts for 15 to 20 minutes.
Really?
Like, I'll be in a funk, right? Like,
Yeah.
where I'm really depressed. And then it may take me a whole day to pick myself up. But I remember I used to have debilitating depression where I was unproductive and almost it was difficult for me to even get out of bed for days. I've had days, I've had weeks like that, right? Slump weeks. Command from closing and future state, right? And mindset prep and all that has really helped with alleviating that. You know what I mean? It's like I pick myself up for it. Like the slumps that I have don't last long because now I have better coping skills. I have better internal ways of telling myself that I'm worth something, that I'm capable of doing this, that I can actually succeed.
Positive talk and positive mindset,
self-talk, whatever it takes. Even if you have to fantasize for a little bit to get yourself into that vision, and if you can see yourself there, then you're going to be more likely to succeed. And I think that that's something that most people need to understand is the only thing that really matters is what you hold in here, and then how that is going to be portrayed and perceived by other people. You don't have to care what people think, but you do have to be able to take what is in here, what you envision, and try to make it as much of a reality with your actions. And that can only happen if you're thinking that way. So if you think like you're not going to succeed, and especially in sales, there's no way to hide it. Any objections you come, if you're having a bad day, it doesn't matter. Your call shot. It just, it comes through.
Yeah.
So there's almost like no lying when it comes to I don't know. I at least cannot mask my emotions as well as other people can. It's gonna come through.
Yeah, for me, like I'm the same way, man. Like for days I'm like really on fire. Like, dude, I'm excited, I'm positive, I'm energetic. Recently I've been kind of going through a slump with closing, honestly. And like, dude, I get nervous. I love talking to people, but I get nervous on the phone. I'm just caught up in my own head a lot of the time. And that's like the worst thing, because honestly, the best salespeople, the best closers, they're all it's like a service that you provide. Whether they buy or don't buy, you're providing them a service of clarity and a service of conviction of their next steps. And sometimes I just forget about that, and I've caught myself a few times recently, like getting caught up in my own head, and I've been trying to get out of that slump, man. Just kind of curious, Zach, what are some of the things that you kind of do to get out of that slump specifically?
Weirdly enough, I have to think about progress. I have to think about where I came from and where I am now. Like, and I know that sometimes we use measurement tools like I think the whole like you're only as good as your last accomplishment is accurate, but when it comes to pulling yourself out of a slump, that's the worst thing, because you're gonna feel worthless, right? If you weren't doing well the last couple of weeks, that's not a good thing. You need to look at growth, since from where you came from to where you are now, even if you're in a worse position, because you learn from mistakes, you learn from failures, you learn from stumbling, but even more importantly, you need to have gratitude. And I think that being thankful is the most important thing. Part of my my meditative start to the day, whether it's prayer or devotionals or, just kind of getting my mindset right, involves really thinking about my blessings, really thinking about what I have right now, because this is totally unrelated, but like I'm healthy. I don't have any kind of conditions, I've been like very lucky in my like where I'm at right now to be on this team. And even if it's little things like, oh my gosh, like 6 months ago I had a 9-to-5 job and now I don't. And maybe I may be financially worse off or not stable. I need to acknowledge that these are all parts of your book that you're writing of your life. And this may be one of those moments where it's like, okay, it's a period of a little bit of uncertainty and a slump. But one thing that's consistent is all of that. All of that is necessary. And I mean necessary for success. In fact, I think that if I didn't have low weeks, if I didn't have failures, I'm not reaching very high, or I'm playing it a little bit too safe.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I love your thing about gratitude. And I think like it's interesting when you start neglecting those areas of your life of like health
Yeah.
or gratitude.
I'm not sick.
That's when things like take its slump, man. So I love that. What are some things that you've been kind of grateful for? Like, for example, how often do you practice this, and what were the last things that you were pretty grateful for, man?
Well, I give God thanks. I mean, for those of you who don't know, I'm a Christian, so I do believe that. If you ask me that, I'm going to give you an honest answer.
Yeah.
Like, I've been blessed with a lot of talents and gifts. I need to be thankful for that, right? I'm not just I will acknowledge it. Like, I'm a gifted speaker. I'm good at listening. I'm good at communicating. And, I can, it doesn't really make me money, but I'm a good musician. I know I'm learning the skill of closing. I have a wonderful support system of friends that I'm forever grateful for. A great community of people locally, even where I'm at, of fellow-minded individuals, like people at my church or whatever that helped me out through this.
Yeah.
And also just a platform. Like, sometimes I'm also thankful, like, dude, a year ago you didn't even have a YouTube channel. Now you got somewhere. And yeah, it may have ups and downs, but dude, look at that accomplishment for a second. Even if it died tomorrow, what does that tell you? That you had something that people liked listening to. And even if I didn't have that, I need to be able to understand that I have amazing friends. I have been given gifts that are unique only to me. Other people may have it, but I do it my own way. And I have to acknowledge to a higher power, to God, that this is what I'm about. And if I give thanks with that, all of a sudden it puts you in a mindset where your accomplishments, whether they're good or bad, don't really define you anymore. And it's weird because unironically, that's what you need to be able to push forward. Like, don't let your past experiences and your accomplishments be your albatross and be the thing that defines you. Let the future of uncertainty be what may define you. But you can't really do that if you're not thankful for what you already have. You can't really make the best out of it.
Yeah, one of the things I've been kind of realizing as I get older is like I don't know where we get this idea, but there's very few things in life that are linear growth, if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
If you think about it, take something for like going to the gym, right? You're going to have your on days where you're progressing, and then you're going to have your off days where you just like shit the bed, man. But if you take a long look over the lifetime or like a longer term view, it might go down, but over the trajectory of the long term, it trends upwards, just like the stock market. And just like,
it's a good way to think about it. I was just thinking about that.
I don't even know where we get this thought. Maybe it's like through school or something, and maybe it's like, sequential with the grades and whatnot. I don't know, man. What are your thoughts about that?
Dude, you just gave me an epiphany. Yeah. What I will say is this, right? I think that our academic system has a lot to do with that. Politics aside, this is what I want to talk about.
Sure.
We are graded on a meet this, and then you can progress to the next level, right? Meet the standard and you can go. And I think that that's necessary for being able to determine how competent you are, how much knowledge you've absorbed and all that. But think about this, man.
Yeah.
For the first 18 years of our life, it is linear because it's grade 1, it's grade 2, it's grade 3.
Yeah.
Whereas now that you're in the business world, you're in the working world, just because you're 24 years old and you've done this, right? It's not a staircase. It's actually kind of like a revolving door, an elevator, an escalator, or you could decide to take an airplane. See what I mean? So like, there's different ways of being able to determine what you think of as a success, and that's why it's oftentimes uncomfortable when you go out, you get the typical job, and then you walk away from that to focus on yourself, to grow your own business, because now it's not linear, or it's not the linear path that you wanted. And to take it back to your analogy with money, the only real thing that we think of in our heads that's linear is maybe a bank account that has simple interest. Even everything else is non-linear. I mean, relationships are non-linear. You have ups and downs. You could actually go for months without talking to somebody and then get back on track. That's not linear. Your progress, right? As far as like, say you're sucking for a couple of weeks and then you just have a killer week because you hit a breakthrough, it pushes you up, right? That in itself is not linear either because it's steep.
Yeah.
And I think that that's amazing too, that we sometimes may not grasp if we don't really are conscious of this, but you may fail like with Thomas Edison, it took him 1,000 tries.
Yeah.
Does that mean he wasn't progressing? People may look at that and go, well, no, you every time you fail, it's downgrading. So you were actually going downhill.
Yeah.
But then when he found the solution, it didn't matter if it was up or down. All he had to do was find ways not to do it and ways to do it. And that's why sometimes we forget that every successful pursuit, everything that tests your limits as a person in whatever endeavor you go into is non-linear.
Yeah. You know, it's really interesting because at this time of recording, I just finished, like literally you were there right next to me. I literally put send to my email list, and I actually just launched my investing course, right?
Woo!
Woo!
Kevin Yee's investing course. Go check it out, guys.
Oh, shameless plugs. But on the serious note, like talking about nonlinear progression, dude, I quit almost 5 times. Like through 2014 to 2019, I quit almost 5 to 6 times going on this endeavor. And, you know, it was such a fucking journey, dude. Like, I feel like in the last year since I quit pharmacy, man, like my trajectory is like just the rate of growth is just, it's about to freaking hit exponential growth, man. And it's just like sometimes if you look even year by year, like you might be doing worse. Like for me, I would hate it when people ask me, hey Kevin, how's your course going? Is it launched yet? And I'd be like, oh my God, there's so much shit happening behind the scenes. I don't even know where to begin. Right. And it feels like other people don't understand, but man, like I think knowing that, you know, I've been working on this for 5 years, and to have it finally done, man, it's like one of the best feelings ever. And you just like at the end of the day, you just don't know where you're gonna be when that pivotal moment happens for you. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Well, it's getting late, dude. Right now it's like 12:30. I was like, I honestly, like with this podcast, I just wanted to, I was like, you know what, Zach, it's getting late. I kind of want to knock out. But dude, I'm so glad that we got to shoot something in person for once, like not via stream, just like in person. It was just really great, just me and you. Right?
Yeah, thank you, Kevin, for having me on your show, and it's always a pleasure to be down in LA. I actually, for those of you who are watching, I'm going to be leaving in the morning, but yeah, I'll be back. So
yeah, dude, Zach, I always leave time for shameless plugs, man. Where can they find you?
You can find me at Zach Hing. Just type in my name on YouTube. And I also run my own podcast called The American Made and Paid Show. Yeah. And it's political in nature, right? Which is why sometimes I don't want to taint Kevin's channel with my politics.
Plug it, man.
You can find me there. The podcast is available everywhere from iTunes to Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify. Wherever it is you have a platform where you want to be able to digest audio content, you'll be able to find it. But yeah, I'm excited for Kevin's investment course, so be sure to get out there and check it out once he it is out. It's live,
yeah,
so
it's technically live.
It's technically live. And stay tuned, you guys. I mean, big things are happening for us as a team in the near future, so yeah, thank you.
All right. Thanks.